Welcome to the Mini Transat Mission, an offshore sailing podcast. I'm your host, Peter Gibbonsnow. This is episode number 13. Hello, and thank you for listening to another episode where we talk all things related to the Class Mini 650 and the Mini Transat. This week I sit down with Sylvain Karpinski, who is from Canada and raced in the 2023 Mini Transat. There's a fascinating story of how he quickly learned how to sail and jumped right into preparing for this big race. Then, during the Mini Transat, he had to overcome challenges such as climbing his mast while solo in big seas, and even broke his bowsprit multiple times. I think you'll find it really interesting hearing about his experience and what it took to get to the finish line. So let's dive into this discussion. Sylvain, welcome to the Mini Transat Mission. How you doing?
Hello, Peter. Yeah, all good here. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Where are you currently located?
So I'm in the province of Quebec, Saint-Adèle, a little city north of Montreal. Snowy month today, like this month actually.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, hey, thank you for taking the time to talk to me. First off, congratulations. Big congrats to completing the 2023 Mini Transat. How does it feel being on the other side of that big achievement?
Thank you very much. It was, feels good. It was a long trip and kind of tough. It wasn't that easy. And congrats to you too, actually, because you made a whole of a trip.
Thank you. Well, that's awesome. Well, hey, I'm glad to have you on here. It's really great having the opportunity to talk to other mini sailors and especially those who've done the Mini Transat as well. So I think there's a lot that we can cover here, and I'm really excited to hear about it. But first, let's get into a little background about you. How did you get into sailing initially?
All right. So that's a kind of a funky story, but basically, I sailed just like a couple of days when I was super young with my dad, like a little cruiser in Poland on some rivers and lakes. And 10 years ago, I made a bicycle trip from Quebec to Ushuaia, so south of Argentina. And when I was in Argentina, I was reading about the history of this country, and I was reading about the Falkland Islands. And because, in Argentina, Argentinians still think that Falklands are part of Argentina, so it's kind of sad. But anyway, I was like reading all this and thinking, it would be nice to go like visit those islands. And so it takes a sailing boat. It would be nice. And then I was thinking, it would be cool to have to make adventures like other trips and visiting all those remote places. Because with bicycle, I was able to go kind of everywhere, not only like touristic places. So I was thinking, it would be nice to go on the seaside, let's say. So that was 10 years ago. I had this project, and
Real
2
quick,
years ago.
How long did that take you to bike? How long did that take you to bike? That's wild.
Yeah, it took 10 months.
Are you talking about like bicycle or motorcycle?
No, bicycle. Yeah, bicycle. So I biked for 9 months, and overall it was 10 months of trip, like 18,000 kilometers, so around 12,000 miles, I think. Yeah.
Oh my God, that is insane.
It was fun.
That's an awesome. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, that could be a whole other podcast episode on that one alone. Oh my gosh. Okay, but so back on track. Yeah.
So basically, so obviously I have the taste for adventure and fun trips. So, and 2 years ago, I decided to really start somewhere with sailing, because it was just like a kind of a seed in my mind. And then 2 years ago, I said, okay, cool, let's start. So I gonna learn how to sail. So I took like 2 classes with Sailing Canada for like beginners. So it's really like a novice beginner, let's say, level. And then I looked to buy a aluminum boat to make those kind of trips somehow. So then I looked for what's the best aluminum boat, exploration boat there. So it was the Boreal. So I went to France to visit the shipyard and ordered such a boat. It took it was supposed to take 3 years to build. And so because of the waiting list and stuff. And then meanwhile, I was looking for Transat videos to see how I can bring back the boat to Canada. And then
Great place to start looking.
Yeah. And then, so it was a transat, like mostly like family transat and stuff like that, you know. And then a friend sent me a video of Clarisse Kremer, which is a famous female sailor in France, of her Mini Transat in 2017, actually. And then, so it was the first Mini Transat video I've seen. And then I was like, oh, that's very, very funny because she's funny. Like she's very cool, like the Clarisse Kremer. She's a good communicator. And then I've seen probably like 100 of those videos of Mini Transat in a couple of days because it was so cool. And I was, oh my
You
God,
got hooked.
that's pretty absolutely. That's my kind of thing, you know, in terms of adventure trip and experience. And it would be a good way to learn how to sail, isn't it? uh, so
My
basically,
gosh.
I've checked to buy a Mini, uh, and I was looking for a new because I knew nothing about Mini, so I've checked what's the good boat there. So it was the Maxi, so I tried to buy a Maxi, but it was like 2 or 3 years of waiting list. So then I bought a Vector, which is the second SCO, because we have two SCOs, like the Maxi and the Vector. It's like the round noses, uh, like hulls, whatever, bow, and yeah, and then that's it. So then a couple of months later, it was May 2022. So one and a half year ago, I received my Mini in France. So I went there, finished everything with some shipyards, like electronics and stuff. And then after a couple of days of sailing with a coach, I made my first solo race. You were there
Yes.
too,
So
actually.
we'll get into that. So
Okay,
we're getting
cool.
that real quick. So did you ever see the minis in person or go to France at all before you decided to buy the mini or start that process? Or did you sail on a boat with anyone else, or did you just watch the videos and say, "Hey, I want to buy it"?
No, actually, yeah. When I bought the boat, I already made one class, like the elementary sailing cruiser, whatever, in Sailing Canada. So that was, how to jibe and how to tack and
Yeah.
stuff on a cruiser. So then I bought the Mini. But before I received my Mini in March 2022, so 2 months before I received my Mini, so it was already in construction, I went to France to make a little uh, like a boot camp on a Pogo 3. So one of the good boats there with an ex yeah, like a former minist who made the
Yeah.
Mini in 2020, 19 actually, 2019, Bastien Auger. And anyway, so I made 1 week with him on a Pogo 3 in Lorient. So that's where I learned a bit better how to sail because like those Sailing Canada trainings, it was pretty basic stuff. So
Yeah.
then Bastien showed me how to yeah, how you say spi and all the stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, that's a great way to learn. Just jump right in. And I think what you're explaining, I think, is also what a lot of mini sailors do, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Because if you wait too long, you'll let the opportunity pass by you potentially. And, if you just say, hey, I'm going to wait for the perfect time to buy a mini, I'm going to wait for the perfect time to learn how to do all this mini stuff, it's really easy to let years pass by. So I think that's awesome that you just jumped right into it full speed.
Absolutely. I mean, it's part of my personality, like to be more in action. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, if you have the opportunity to do that, I think it's fun. I mean, and it's not tremendous to learn how to sail on a Mini. So if you just start, then you will learn. Obviously, you have to have a good motivation and because it's tough at the beginning,
Yeah.
it's tough and rough, but that's it. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So I think a big part of it too is the boats are awesome. The boats are incredible. The racing's great. But I also feel like a big part of it is the Class Mini, the organization of the Class Mini as the mini sailors together. So can you describe a little bit for the listeners? What is it about the Class Mini as a group, the people? What's so special about it? And I guess what dragged you into that besides just the boat itself?
Yeah. So about uh, I knew nothing about the Mini class before I bought the boat. So, but then rapidly I learned about the class, especially at the first race because we have to be there like 1 week before, and then you can exchange with people. But basically, the Mini class, I think, is the people. So mostly cool people, young people, not only young, but basically we are all driven by by some similar values like adventure, outdoor, yeah, mostly very fun people. There is a huge solidarity in the group. So at my first day in Douarnenez in France, I met Alessandro, that you know, probably the Italian guy. You know, I
Hmm.
knew nobody there, so I had my mast just next to my boat. So because it was new, so I had to put the mast. So he helped me like a couple of hours. Like you know, super easygoing, and so yeah, so this big solidarity and this common common values about you know, just doing outdoor stuff and sailing stuff. So it's pretty incredible, and it's the only class. I mean, now we know other classes, and we learn. I mean, we heard stories, but basically, it's the only class where there is this real solidarity between the sailors, and it's not only about the race and the result and stuff. Also, probably because there is less um, how do you say enjeu? I mean, there is less, you know, it's not professional, so we don't have, I mean, we are not, you know, it's not our job, it's more like a hobby, so probably it helps to have this cool atmosphere, but that's it, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of that and also a great pathway for, because there's certainly people that are trying to become the professional sailor, get into that. So I think it's a combination of both too, where absolutely, like most of the people that are there aren't doing fully sponsored full-time campaigns like you do for an AMOCA or a Class 40, because you know generally the money's just not there for that those kind of programs. But people use it as a stepping stone for those professional programs, which I think makes it
Be-
really interesting.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can find diverse profiles. Like you have the future best sailors on Earth there. Some of them are super cool anyway. They will help you. Some of them are very like you know big headed, bold, and all. But it's rare. I mean, those guys are you know it's yeah there are there are just few of them, but most of them are super cool. And yeah, of course you have the guy that are only there for adventure. Oh, that's your dog,
Yeah,
isn't it?
I know. Sorry. He's all curled up in the bed with a blanket over him, and he's barking at people downstairs.
Sounds good. Sounds
But he's
like a
all like
deal.
tucked in. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
So basically, yeah. So the minority is let's say like very professional, and they don't want to play whatever. Uh, but most of them, even the super great sailors in the mini class, are just awesome and super cool.
Yeah. No, I think hey, that's a great way to describe it because I feel the same way for a lot of that stuff too. So that's awesome. So we talked about a little bit about your boat. It's a Vector. Uh, I want to hear a little bit more about what was it like buying a new Mini. What was that process like? The initial experience, and then going into your first race because I think we were actually tied up next to each other, I think, for go leading into the trophy map. And I remember you just covered it in Sikaflex one day, installing a bunch of new fittings on the boat or like waterproofing the fittings or something like that. And just see you come up and just Sikaflex all over your fingers and your face and be like, hey, man, you okay over there? It's like, oh, yeah, we're good. We're good. We're good. We're going to be ready for the race. So I kind of let's hear a little bit about that process. How'd that go?
Yeah. So again, I'm super new in this. So when I bought the boat, you know, I just kind of try to find the contact to how to buy and where and stuff, and then you know just the process with the shipyard, it was pretty easy. A couple of emails, down payment, then whatever. The thing I didn't know, and that's where Bastien, my former coach, helped me a bunch, is when you receive a new mini from a shipyard, usually it's not ready, you know, because my first plan was to take the mini from the shipyard and sail back to Canada and then train there. You know, it was completely madness now.
Oh,
But
my gosh.
yeah. But because I didn't know that it's not possible because the boat is not ready. You have to install the bowsprit. You have to make all the electronic whatever. You know. So Bastien told me like, oh man, there is a couple of probably 1 or 2 weeks with a couple of people waiting, working on the boat just to add some. How do you say backstack? Backstay? Yeah, like
Like
backstays and
backstage,
all
yeah.
the stuff. Yeah, you have to install a bunch of stuff that are not ready yet. So he gave me a contact of a shipyard in La Rochelle. It's the shipyard that builds the offset, like one of
Okay,
the
yeah,
good
another kind of
minis back
mini.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah, another kind of mini. They are good in minis and in preparation. So basically, they prepared all the boat. Another shipyard prepared the electronic, and then still there is a lot of work of optimization and so it's a kind of a long process, and probably it's way easier to buy a second-hand Mini that was well prepared. I mean, if you are aiming to sail a bunch and just focus on the sailing, it's a good way to have a quality second-hand boat. But on the other hand, it's very cool to explore the technical side of the Mini project by having a new boat, because you have to work a
Yeah.
lot on the boats, and so basically I learned a lot of stuff about splicing, about whatever. So I think
And
it's still
every
good.
decision's yours, yeah, for where you're putting everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
No, that's great. That's really cool. So, all right. So the first race you did was Trophy Map, which was a 220-mile solo race. How was that for you?
Yeah, so it was my second solo sailing, because the first one, it was a couple of hours just next to in the Douarnenez Bay. So it was super fun, actually, super fun. Uh, I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I made a lot of mistakes, obviously, because
Yeah.
like mistakes that cost you like couple of like couple of hours at the end of the day. So you're super pissed about that, and then at least you don't do the same mistake twice, because in a race, when you when you're losing like 15 minutes just because of 2 seconds of a little mistake, it's kind of tough. But basically, it was super nice, and let's say mentally, it was kind of a challenge as well, because we had very small wind, like very low wind on this race.
Hmm.
Um, and there was you are a little bit further, but uh, at the end of the, let's say, the peloton, how do you say, like, the pack, basically,
Yeah.
the because I was pretty much with the last guys, but at the one third of the row of the race, we had like a split. So basically, the boats that were just couple of hundreds of feet behind me, they were completely blocked and stopped because they had no wind, and I was able to pass. But that's something I realized after the race. And those guys, they never finished the race, basically, because they were stuck there for hours, like 6 or 12 hours, whatever, and then they were stuck elsewhere for 12 hours. So all those guys either abandoned, or because it was already too late, or they arrived 2 days after us. So we're super lucky on this part, because imagine if I was stuck there with
Yeah.
them and I didn't finish my first race, like mentally it would be so, probably, awful.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so basically it was super interesting on this, because yeah, we had a little squall with a storm, so that was also interesting. My first storm. So how do I have to manage by night with the thunderstorms and whatever. So I was like two reefs, and one in the main and one reef in the jib, and what will happen, I don't know. So I was pretty scared about this. Yeah, and all this VHF conversations with other friends, like Mark, the guy
Yeah. Yeah.
the Irish guy. Yeah, we were close by all the race, and it was his first race as well. So yeah, it was super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing how many miles and how far you've come since that race. Because, just getting on the race course for one of the races alone is a big milestone. And then all the races since then. So that's awesome. That's great. So I'm kind of curious, now that you've done a lot of the solo sailing, why solo sailing for you? Do
Oh,
you enjoy it? And are you ever scared out there? What's it like for you out there solo sailing?
you mean generally speaking on this race particularly?
I think on the minis like in the mini sailing in general, whether it's a delivery or a race or training, do you enjoy the
Ah,
solo sailing side of things? And do you ever get scared out there in some of those, storms and bad weather?
yeah, so I really enjoyed a bunch, more than double-handed sailing, for sure. a couple of reasons. First, because you have this freedom, and you are doing everything. So this is a huge satisfaction to do everything, all the trimming and making your boat run well, and all this problem solving as well. It's very nice to be able to cover all the all the mechanical, all the tactical, strategical part of the of this sport. So it's beautiful, and actually I like to be alone in life, so it's not a matter to be alone and for hours or days, whatever. So no, it's beautiful. And if I was scared, so only a couple of times where I was really like, oh my God, what will happen? Obviously it's in big weather. That's pretty much it. In when you have storms or huge
And
like
just
heavy
holding on.
weather.
There's not much you can do. You're at the mercy of the waves.
Absolutely, and those sounds in the boat, it's like when it will break, it's such weird sounds, a lot of sounds, different sounds, and as long as you never experience the breaking moment of this part or sound,
Yeah.
you don't know until where it can go, isn't it? So that's kind of yeah, I kind of
I know what
weird,
you
yeah.
mean. Real quick on the sounds, I think the worst sounds I've heard on my boat was during my 1,000-mile qualifier. I was actually 1,100 miles into it because I'd already finished the qualification process, and it was the last 100 miles to go from the last mark in Ireland down to Kinsale, 2 miles off the coast of Ireland at night, and it was blowing 30, 35 knots, big seas coming in from two different directions,
Oh my
and I'm just
God.
trying to get away from the rocks, and the boat's just getting thrown all around. I wasn't sure whether the hull was going to break, the mast was going to. I wasn't sure what was going to break first, but it was so nasty out there. I've never heard such bad sounds on the boat before since then. And so now I've seen what the limit of the boat is, and I know exactly what you're talking about when whether you're on deck or you're down below, and you just hear the boat just getting thrown around. It's a pretty wild experience.
Absolutely, yeah, it's terrific. And sometimes you have new sounds, and that's kind of scary because,
The new
for instance,
sounds,
on yeah,
absolutely.
like the new sounds. For instance, on the first leg of the Mini Transat, for we had a decent front. Like I had like 36 knots all the time, and gusts to 45, so it was really intense. Uh, so we're going upwind to try to pass the front, but there was no front. I mean, it was just no, there was no rotation of the wind, so we were kind of trapped there for hours. We were going like, "Ugh." Uh, and then I was below, and I heard a new sound. I was like, "What the hell is going on?" And anyway, I just waited, and then when I looked up, I went inside and looked up the shroud of the D2. So like the cable that holds the mast after the first spreaders.
Mhm.
It was loose. It was gone. And actually the sound was because the mast was like bending on the other side and making like S's shape. And I was, oh
That is
my God,
terrifying.
oh my God, I gonna dismast right now. And it was still blowing like 29, 35 knots all the time. Oh my God. So yeah, I had to stop the boat, and it was with fortune, it was just at the end of this kind of
The
front.
front coming through, yeah.
Yeah, so then I had to go to climb up the mast. So I was
Yeah, so what was
completely
your thought process, climbing the mast in big seas like that? What did you think about going into that?
no choice. I just thought I have to go, otherwise it's over. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you lose the rig, you're completely, it's gone. You have to survive for hours or days. It's awful. So you have no option. It's not like, oh, I don't want to go there. No, it's like, yes, obviously I don't want to go, but I have to. So boom. So just preparing everything, and then just to screw it back in this bloody wire, like the bloody shroud. It took me like probably half an hour, because with one hand I was trying to save my life, because I was just like bouncing everywhere because of the waves, like like 2.5 or 3 meters waves all the time, and and on the other hand, I was trying to do screw, but it's hard to screw something with one hand.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was completely covered with the bruises, and that was terrific. Yeah. Anyway, but
I
yeah.
remember
So
seeing you after the race. You looked so beat up after that with all the bruising and everything. Oh my God. That was just wild. Yeah. So what do you think? How do you think it came unscrewed? Did a cotter pin come undone, or what do you think it was?
yeah. So basically, one of my coach advises me to uh, just put a little rope instead
Mm-hmm.
of those pins. So it works on the lower side, but on the upper side of the ridoir, I don't know what's the part, but
Like
basically
the wire that
there was,
screws into it.
yeah. So basically there was nothing there. So and in the spreaders, it's just like a round part, so it can turn. So basically, it just
Yeah.
unscrewed from there. So basically, yeah, you have to put ropes on both sides or pins, but just basic stuff. But my coach thought it was enough, but it wasn't actually.
Well, it's a good lesson learned right there. You'll definitely do a little more on that next time. I'm sure going forward for whatever boat you're on, because
Yeah,
you're lucky you didn't lose your mast because one of the other minis out there they lost their rig through that weather that came through.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
that
thought
was
so.
no joke out there.
Yeah, it was serious. Yeah. It was fun
Yeah,
though. It was fun because it was sunny. I don't know for you, but I had no rain. I had just it was sunny for hours,
you
but
had no rain.
super rain. Uh,
Oh my gosh, it poured on me.
Really? No, no, I had no rain, or maybe just like a couple of minutes, but it's
Yeah.
super heavy winds, gray weather at the beginning, and then sunny, and
Actually,
but
that's
super
true. There
heavy
were
wind.
parts that were super sunny. I do remember that, and it was like this is strange. And yeah, okay, yeah. No, parts of it were really sunny, but then parts of it were also just super dark. I just remember going
Yeah,
between the both, and then going back into the clouds, being like, no, I don't want to leave the sun.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so leading up to the mini transat, let's talk about that a little bit. I'm really curious because I want to hear a little bit more about the qualification process in terms of like the qualifying races. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you applied for the DCQ, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, can we talk about that a little bit? Because that's not a normal thing, and even a lot of the French sailors don't really understand the DCQ process. So can you explain that a little bit?
Yes, so basically there are 6 places that are reserved for people that live outside of Europe. So it allows, basically a non-European to be able to make this kind of such a project, because otherwise you have to be in France for 1 or 2 years and to be able to make all the races, because now there is more people that want to make the race than you have places actually. So you have to
Yeah, it takes almost
make
3
a
years
lot
to
of
qualify
races.
now in the series.
Yeah, pretty much, isn't it? So you're lucky if you make it in 2 years, because you have to make a lot of races. Anyway, so those places are reserved for people that live, for instance, in Canada or USA or whatever, and you have to apply for that and show them that you can make the project. So they still have the power to say no. The class
Mhm.
mini can say no, you are not ready, or your project is not solid enough or whatever. But for most people, it works. And this year we were 4 people, isn't it? We had a guy from Uruguay that won the Mini Transat actually on a
Which that's
proto,
awesome. Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah, a Brazilian guy. You were not on the DCQ. There
Yeah, I
was
wasn't on it because I already had enough miles anyways, so I didn't
exactly.
need it.
Yeah, so there was me plus Federico from Argentina. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. But so for that, you still need to do the 1,500 miles of racing in the class, correct?
Yeah,
But
so
you
then
just
you
have
have
to
to
have it planned, right?
exactly. So you have to make all the minimum requirements. So the 100, so the 1,500 miles, the qualification, and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think the big thing is it just gives you that time to be able to do it. And you have to apply for this early. So I think you have to apply for, I believe, by November of the year prior to the mini transat. So almost a year in advance for them to basically approve it and save all the time. So you can't just apply for this like 6 months before the start of the race. For people listening to this, just thinking about just jumping into it right away. Takes a while for this to all happen, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You have to apply 1 year in advance, so then you have one whole season to qualify. And I doubt they would allow somebody to make just one season if they have no background on this guy, for instance. So so for us, like for the four guys that were there, we already made 1 or 2 races or the qualification before we applied. So I think it helps. I doubt.
I think that's a great point. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. So I'm also curious, going into the Mini Transat, what were some of your biggest challenges, do you think, getting to the starting line itself?
Big challenges. I mean, as long as you have the DCQ, there is no like big challenges, because I mean the big challenge is to finish your race, and all your races actually just to qualify. So that might be a challenge if you're not able to finish the races. But for myself, I mean the challenging part of my project it was that I was living in Canada because I have a kid here, a 4 years old kid, and I was just traveling every 2 months for. Or less. I was traveling 2 or 3 weeks in France. So basically that was kind of challenging.
That's a pretty big challenge right there.
yeah. I mean, it's not like challenge itself. It's just like annoying, because I was so sick to take the plane and then train for hours and hours every 6 weeks. So
yeah.
Well, otherwise, and maybe that little challenge there, it was also to manage my boat that was far from me. So if I have to repair something, or if I have to do anything on the boat, I have to ask people, or so that's a little bit annoying as well, to not be able to be next to my boat and work as much as I want on the boat. Yes.
Sure. No, absolutely. That makes sense. All right. So once you got past these couple years of getting the boat ready, your training, all that kind of stuff, what was it like for you leaving the dock, leaving the pontoon, going out to the starting line, going through the channel? What was that whole experience like for you? Can you describe a little bit of that?
Yes. Obviously, it was very, very grateful, and I mean, obviously, it was nice, and overall, it was a warm experience. But when I was looking at other people, like for instance, Carlos, who was second on the Proto, Carlos Manera, with the newest boat, he was just behind me, like we were on the same line with the tugboat, and he was like almost crying, and he had a lot of fans on the docks and stuff, and I was able to see that he has huge emotions there. For myself, I'm 37 years old, so it wasn't like that, that strong for me, still obviously very, very nice and interesting, but it wasn't like oh my God, I'm gonna cry because it's so powerful. Other people like Alexandra, from Paris, she was literally, the whole family was on the boat a couple of minutes before she left, and she was crying, and it was super cute, super nice. But so for myself, I was just super happy to start and to be on my boat again for days, and so yeah, just very very almost relaxing moment, I would say, to be
no, that's because, a great. I can see the relaxing side. Yeah,
absolutely. Because a couple of days before, there's a lot of people, you have to do stuff, you have meetings and stuff, and then at the end, boom! Yes, now I can do what I want on my boat, and I can whatever, So
so. The endless skipper's briefs with all the annoying questions.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. No, I got you. No, that's great. Yeah, just getting out there and I guess, I don't know if relaxing is the right word I would use. I get what you're saying, but it's that the weight is just off your shoulders in the sense of everything it takes to get to the starting line. Like there's so many things that could stop you from getting to that starting line. There's so many things where they could say, no, you're not qualified in this, or you don't have the right piece of gear. No, but once you leave that dock, there's nothing for them to say, no, you can't cross the starting line at that point, which I think is just the most unbelievable experience. Just having that freedom to be able to just start the race and just go out there. And there's not much telling you to go left or right. It's just you have the freedom to kind of just start sailing. I think is awesome. So I totally get what you're saying there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, just the start is just, I think it's an incredible experience. How do you remember how the start was for you? Because there was a lot of boats on the line, all piled up by the pin. Were you in that group?
I was pretty well positioned at the start. Yeah, it was reaching with Janaker, and it was cool because the line was huge. So I
It was
had a
really
couple
long.
of there was Ulysse. Like the 1025. He's in my pole in Concarneau, so he was just next to me. But it was fun because I wasn't like very close to the mark where all the guys were, which is completely a nonsense because anyway. So they were just like playing like the weekend race anyway. So I was more in the middle, but still it was fast and it was fun to see all those boats because we have 90 boats, so it's except the Mini where there's 100 boats. I think it's the biggest line. And it's fun to start with the reaching because it's very rare that you are allowed to use a sail XP or Janaker on the starting line. So that was fun, yeah.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. So yeah, for that first leg after the start, I know we talked a little bit about that front coming in around like the northwest part of Spain. How was the rest of your first leg? Any other moments that stuck out to you, or maybe the downwind sailing, or how was it for you?
Oh my God! So it was let's say three phases. So the first phase, the four first days, it was super nice because we had light wind, a very light wind, isn't it? To the front, and I was like top 20 for the 3 first days, so I was super happy. Which is kind of tough on the vector because vector is not very good in light wind. So I was the first of the 6 vectors. So I was happy because Vitek and Federico are pretty good sailors. So
That's
I was
great.
super happy to be there. And then the front passed by, and then boom, that was terrific because basically, I was kind of stuck in a hole with no wind. A lot of boats. I mean, all the boats catch me there, and then so that was the end of phase 1. Phase 2, it was basically the worst option of the race. We were a couple of the boats there making the same option, but basically going to the coast. Oh, let's try the thermics on the coast. My God, maybe we'll have more, whatever. So that was that was not a good idea because we were stuck there for hours and days. And again, with Vitek, the Polish guy on the Vector, we were there for so long. And so that was really, really, really hard on the mind and the spirit because basically we lost all the chances to make something decent. All the boats in the front all the boats were just flying, and there were maybe 5 or 6 boats just stuck there on the coast, and that was terrific. And when the trade winds came, the Portuguese trade winds came, that was for the 2 first days because it was 4 days of nice tailwinds. So for the 2 first days, I was just pissed, and I was like, whatever, I just want to finish because I'm pissed, I'm bored, whatever. And then I started to enjoy and thinking, oh, maybe I can catch a couple of boats, So I found new motivations, and so then I was running on my boat, and I was able to catch some boats, and so that was also interesting, to have perfect conditions and to be pissed, and then later on, oh no, let's enjoy. And also the very cool thing is it's very rare. It happens pretty much never that you can have a perfect condition for speed for 4 days. Basically, you have downwind 4 days, and you don't have to go upwind to go to your port. So it was a perfect condition to practice for the second leg. So I made a lot of tests of trimming, and I took a bunch of notes and statistics to how to be, how to optimize basically the second leg there. So that was very
great.
nice. Yeah, and then with luck, I had a beautiful finish, and that made my whole first leg. Otherwise, I would finish, with like bitter taste. But then basically at the end, I took a bold option where I went south. So I made
You went
extra
past the
route.
finish line, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know, but like a bunch, yeah. So basically, everybody was going to like west to the mark, like to the finish line,
Yeah.
and they were just like stuck in the pillow. Like there's a pillow with no wind. So
I was stuck there. I know how it felt.
yeah, big time, big time. So basically, I just took my map, like my paper map, and I've seen, okay, so the wind's there. Here there is less mountain, so probably the pillow is smaller. So I just went south. And then I tacked back and then I jibed back actually. And then I had a reaching angle more south. So basically I finished with same wind as the other one, like 4 knots or 5 knots of wind, but I had a speed of 4 knots of the ground because I was reaching then. So it's so cool because there's a boat called Gusto. It's a Pogo 2, and my name is Gusta with a at the end, the vector. And I passed him literally 5 meters before the line because he was, like downwind, going 1 knot. And since like 2 hours, I was looking at him. Oh, maybe I can catch him. No, that's not possible. Oh, maybe yes. Oh no. And then just a couple of minutes before, I was, oh man, it's getting there. I can catch Gusto, the bloody Edouard. And yes, just like literally like boom on the finish line. That was so cool. Anyway, so that made my whole race like to finish so I passed like 5 or 6 boats on the 5 last hours because of this little option. So basically, I was happy just because of this.
That's great. Yeah, that finish line there was tough with there was like this area of no wind right on the coastline of La Palma, in the Canaries, and just getting into that area to the finish line was just impossible for everyone, I feel like.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very tough, yeah.
That was tough. Yeah. Okay, so once we got to La Palma, we spent about, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks there. You flew, I feel like you flew out, but did you do any big changes before the second leg to your boat, or did you do it, I guess, what was your thought process going into the second leg? Any big changes there, or just more of the same?
I did actually almost nothing on my boat. I just cleaned the hull every day, because I have lack. I have no anti-fouling, so I have to clean it all the time. Otherwise, I have algae and shit.
I'm curious. Did you like having no anti-fouling on the boat, like no bottom paint, or would you do it differently next time?
No, I think it's great. First, it's pretty much eco-friendly, and it's a bit faster. I've seen a couple of races that I really can I really slip on the water. I kind of fly. So comparing to other boats or other vectors or Pogo 2, sometimes in very light wind, it's the boat slips on the water, so that's fun. But it's more work of cleaning, obviously. But I think it's great. In terms of performance, I think it's the best, and all the best protos have that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
okay, but yeah. So, what was your mindset going into the second leg?
So basically, I was again super happy to be able to do that. I was a bit worried about my instruments because they were not super nicely fine-tuned in terms of calibration. So that's annoying when you jibe and then you have 15 degrees different angle and the speed is not the same, the wind speed. So I was pissed about that. So I tried to calibrate them on this little race we had before, the little sailing we were able to do the week before. But it wasn't enough. You have to really fine-tune and you have to make a wind table in the boat anyway, in the system. So it's not that easy. So anyway, so that was my big worry, because I'm a bit geek on this part, and I like to have perfect data to be able to make good strategical options. But that's the same for everybody on the minis. It's hard to have such information if you are not well prepared in advance in terms of calibration. Anyway, so that was my big concern. But otherwise, no, I did nothing on the boat actually. Just repaired a couple of ropes or whatever, but minimum stuff. Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome. So for that start of the second leg, I know it was really light. But how did that first phase of the race go for you?
Oh yeah, so So the start was, in fact, no wind, and I think it was my best start of my whole life.
Really?
I think, I was second or first on the line. I have a video of this because I was one of the last to arrive on the zone. So I was very south. Anyway, no, it was west. So I was very close to the coast, and all the boats were, at the committee and trying to fight for whatever the line. And I was super far from them, and but I was like really on the line, going, like basically sailing on the line to go closer to other boats. So on the mark, I was on the start. I was right on the line. So boom. So
That's
it was
awesome.
fun to yeah. And then I had no wind turbulence from the others because I was far. So that was great. So the first 2 hours, I was like top 5, I think. I have a nice picture of this. Victor on the proto, he was just next to me, and anyway, so that was fun. And so the first night was kind of tough because we had very small wind, and it's where
I think we were close to each other that first night.
I mean, we were close. We were like 2 meters.
We were really close.
Yeah, we kind of crossed 2 times, trying to escape the no wind, the tacking, and jibing. That it was very, very interesting because the all the best in the first night, the first evening, they were able to escape 2-3 miles in front, and during the first night we all reassembled together. So there
were a ton of boats right there.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see everybody actually. So the 2 first days were like that. The second morning, it's where we passed the first mark, so the island.
The island, yeah.
Hierro.
Was that like Hero or
Hierro,
how
exactly,
we pronounce it? Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Hierro, yeah. And
yeah. So did you? I'm trying to remember. Did you go more rumline initially, or because I think we crossed each other after the island again? I think I was going farther south. I think you were going more west, right?
Actually, we had a very similar trace because we both went south. I mean, I was going southwest, and you were going south. But we had the same idea to escape and going south. So we were.
What was your thought? Yeah, I'm curious. What was your thought process? Because I know why I was going south, but I'm curious why did you want to go south? Because I know a lot of the fleet was going more north of the rumline initially.
Yeah. So 2 things. First, I made a routing with my speed polar, like the boat polars and the ECM weather forecast, like the European model. And I really trust it. Same with the UK MO model. On 3 days, I think it's the best. And it's the same forecast. I mean, the same weather model I used on my former Transat on a Sunfast 3200 the year before. And I was super happy of it was really accurate. Anyway, so this routing was saying to go there. And also, when I was, almost there, because it wasn't going that south, but still, when I was looking at the forecast, I knew that basically we will have sooner and more wind south comparing to the north. So that was my idea. And obviously, on such races, because we don't have weather, there is still a huge part of let's say. Darkness in terms of information. So I was trying to hit a little west in my south. So that's why I was going more southwest than just south, comparing to you. Yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
What was your process about the south option?
So for me, the reason why I went so far south was to get in those stronger trade winds quicker, because I knew basically you either had to go north of Rumline or south of Rumline. And if you went on Rumline initially, you'd be in a zone of no wind. So my goal was to get south, and I waited to go south until rounding that island, and boats started going upwind. And I'm like, I don't want to go upwind right now. So I just put up my code 0 and headed farther south. And so I waited for that second day to get that weather forecast to confirm my decision. And then I started going south, and then I think I just played it a little bit off the wind angle because I jibed a couple times. But then I would jibe, and then it'd start getting light, and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to go into that light spot. So then I'd jibe back and keep on going south again. And I think that's why I kept going south, because I wanted to stay away from that area of no wind, of light wind. And so that was kind of my decision behind it. And then the other decision I had was, these boats, they're all minis, but they're all a little different. And you got to sail your boat to the right angle, to the right wind, which I had made that mistake a couple of times on the first leg. And so going into this leg, I was like, I'm not going to make that same mistake again. So even if I'm sailing a slightly different angle than some of the other boats, I'm going to go for what's fast on my boat. And so that's where I think we crossed at one point. I'm like, all right, like we're not going the same angle, but that's also because our boats are different designs. And so that was my thought process, was basically just go fast all the time towards the wind. And that took me to more of the southern route, which, shortly before my rudder ripped off, which that's a whole nother story we don't even need to get into. But one of the boats that jibed, that was within 2 miles of me, was 1050. I think 1050, right? The prototype that got third place in the race.
Yep,
so she had jibed probably about 12 hours before I did to go west. So I was within like a really good window for going that western route, pretty far south. So that was kind of my thought process behind it.
No, I think it was the perfect choice. Let's say same. I crossed with the top three, like Adrien Simon and Felix. They were just in front of me when I broke my bowsprit. So and then those guys went east. Actually, they went to Senegal to really, So they actually.
Wait, you broke your bowsprit?
Twice, like.
Wait, okay, let's dive in. Okay, so when did you break your bowsprit? Yeah, let's hear a little bit about that, because that's an important detail.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I broke it the second night of the let's say the heavy winds we had. Like for like 10 days, we had a decent winds. So basically, the second night, it just bent in two. I don't know how. I was under medium speed, where like 24-25 knots of real wind speed, and then boom, weird sound, but this kind of sound, it's very bad because it makes a huge boom. What happened? Broach, and then the bowsprit is bended. Cool. I completely line two, like that. So I think it's compression basically. Anyway, so I had to change it. It took me like 4 decent hours. So I was going downwind. How do you call when you are going with two sails on each side?
Wing on wing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we say wing on wing. Yeah, the main and the jib are basically like that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was going on the straight on the row, like 7 knots, trying to replace, because I had a second bowsprit. So I was able to replace, but it was very long with the splicings, because they were not let's say installed to be able to change them. So that was very annoying. So I had to make new stuff anyway. And then so that was just right when Adrien Simon, who finished I think third or fourth, he just passed me there. And then the second night, I mean the next night, the second bowsprit broke, and then I was like really, really, really pissed. I was like, oh my god, that's gonna be a long race, a long convoyage. Anyway,
yeah.
So then
how'd you repair it?
So first I tried to replay. I mean to put it in position again, because it was just the base that bended. So then it was super loose at the base. But I was thinking, okay, cool, maybe with the compression it will hold with if I don't push on the boat. So it was holding because I was super slow, so putting no force there. And then I was thinking, no man, it's gonna take me 5 more days or 1 more week instead of the initial routing, so it's not possible. So I have to do something. So I was fortunate enough to have a huge tube, like a huge aluminum tube of 1 meter, and with the diameter just bigger than the bowsprit. So it was a part that was let's say that I took to potentially fix a bowsprit that was cut in two. So I had this part. So basically, I cut both bowsprits to take just the good part of the bowsprit that was because both they were broke, the different locations. So I just took the two bowsprit, cut in two with this tube with fiber like epoxy stuff to be able to have something stronger. And then I had a third homemade bowsprit basically, which was probably a little bit weaker. I don't know. But in my mind it was a bit weaker. So then I was running always with an extra reef to be a bit slower to not destroy it a third time up, because I knew that if I really break the third bowsprit down, it's over, and then it's gonna be so long that I cannot afford that. So then I was always running a little bit underpowered, which was annoying and long, obviously.
That's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, but meanwhile, because that was at 24 hours, when I broke twice the bowsprit. Meanwhile, in the middle of those little stories, I lost my big SPI. It was up, it was packed upwind. No, how do you say, like it was like windward, just to put some weight. And then I made a Chinese broach, so the boat went on the other side. The SPI was in the water, and it was completely like ripped apart and fell. It just disappeared in seconds. So that was my big SPI history. So then I had only my medium SPI, which is
so
small.
it just got ripped off the boat completely.
Yeah,
like just in the bag and ripped out.
Yeah, absolutely. You have so much power drifting the SPI, so the clips ripped off and bye bye.
Wow!
So, and that's the only 2 minutes in the second leg where I was scared, because it's the first time when I have a Chinese broach. So you have the boat completely, like 9 degrees, and you're stuck. I was like, oh my God, what will happen? So
just like a crash jibe, the boat goes over, and you're just holding on, trying to. And the hard thing is with the runners, the boom hits the runners, and then now the boat's just pinned over.
Yeah, absolutely. So then you have to kind of jibe back, and because you have the SPI on the other side, because it's a Chinese broach, it goes on the other side anyway. So that was terrific. So it took me a couple of minutes just to figure out what to do to not make anything silly. Anyway, so I was with a third bowsprit that was weak, and with a small medium SPI for the 10 days that were left. So basically my Mini Transat was slow and boring, because in 10 days, I never dropped the SPI. Because I had no squall. I was lucky for that. But, so if you have a Transat with the same speed for 10 days, without making any peeling, without having the challenge to change the speed to be more, faster, it was long. And especially with the 2 or 3 days at the end where we had smaller winds, like lighter winds.
Yeah.
That was terrific, because my medium SPI was, so slow.
That's tough. That's really tough. Did you listen to any music out there, or what do you do to help pass the time?
So that's pretty much the only thing I was doing sometimes, because most of the time I was chilling, sleeping, making statistics. How can I optimize the 0.2 knots, because I was already that underpowered. So what can I do? So I was making a lot of statistics. Every 2 degrees, if I trim that, if I'm faster on the VMG, because that's the key. Anyway, so some music. I tried audiobooks, but it was very, very hard to concentrate, so I didn't. So basically music.
Oh, interesting. I love the audiobooks. I listen to almost one a day out there. I was killing them. Like, just listen to one after another.
But were you able to really catch the story and everything?
Yeah. So it depends on what I was listening to, but I really enjoy listening to like military history. So I listened to a couple audiobooks on like World War II and some other big battles and things like that. And so it's just kind of like an interesting story where you learn about stuff. And so I was able to listen to it. Yeah.
Oh, so that's good. So then it's more like a podcast where you have a story. Because I was trying to read or listen to the world regarding GARPs, from anyway. So it's a huge philosophical fiction.
Yeah, that might be tough.
It doesn't work, because if you lose one word, you're just I lost a part of the of the stuff.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I definitely fell asleep a few times listening to the audiobook. So I'd switch to a podcast when I fell asleep listening to the audiobook.
That's good. Yeah, and podcast I think is great because it's a bit lighter, so So you're not losing part of the art of the literature, isn't it? Anyway, so yeah, podcast. I had, I think, one or two. Otherwise, music. But I know like most of people were listening tons of podcasts and music all the day, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely helps. And I mean, I really enjoyed listening to audiobooks and podcasts when I was hand steering because it would keep my mind engaged instead of losing. Because sometimes you can kind of lose track of like the numbers and looking at the sail and the telltales or the spinnaker, and like sometimes you just get a little bit of vertigo and it kind of all blends together after a while. So I enjoyed having something stimulating my brain, like my mind, separate from the sailing while I'm still paying attention to the sailing. So it's different for everyone, but I think it helped me a lot.
Oh man, you're right, and it is funny because it's when to me it's like when I'm driving, it's the only moment where I can listen to like paying attention to what I listen. For instance, audiobook or podcast. But same with steering. In fact, when you're steering, you're focused, but you're still you're right. It is good to have something keeping you alert or whatever. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right. So after those 10 days of sailing, hard downwind, but like, not much going on. I mean, there's a lot going on, but not at the same time. But after those 10 days, you approach the finish. What was it like coming up to Guadeloupe for the finish for you?
All right. So my last morning was very interesting because I had 3 boats, let's say like 2 boats that were very dangerous to me because they were just behind me. Victoire on the Maxi and PA on the Vector, and they had big speed, and we had only like 17 knots, so which is not enough for my medium speed. So I knew that they were faster, but so for the first since the first sun ray, I was just like steering non-stop until the finish line to be able to optimize everything to not be catched by Pierre Arnaud that had the Vector as well. So it was super nice because of that. Just like trying to fight until the last foot of race. But on the last jibe, Victoire was able to catch me because she had the big speed, and we had a couple of degrees of rotation. So we were like super downwind. So she was able with the big speed to catch me. But anyway, so the cool thing on the arrival, I think, or just before the arrival, when you pass the last mark, which is a little island, you are so close to the coast of this island, and the water is completely like Caribbean. So it's the first time since 2 weeks you see like, oh my god, like clear, like blue blue water, like
you see a beach there.
You see a beach, bro. You see like the sand because it's very shallow. So that was wow, super nice. And 2 hours later or 1 hour later, you are at the finish line, which is a good let's say. How do you say? You can just drop everything and you have your some friends that were there, like Federico, who won the race. He was touring on a motorboat to welcome everybody, and and then on the pontoon, I've seen my kid and my girlfriend. That was very very
that's
intense.
awesome.
Yeah, and then you have Luca, who won on the series. So Luca, the Italian guy. He was the first to welcome me, so that's so class from him. And he actually welcomed most of the, probably like 90% of the boats. So that's so class. Yeah. Anyway,
that's great. No, that's great to hear. I mean, what do you remember? Like, what was going through your mind crossing the finish line? Just like the weight lifted off your shoulders. What, like, how, any other like feelings or emotions, or what were you thinking? Or were you like, this was an incredible experience, or never again am I sailing, or what did you think when you finished?
So the first thing I was like, cool, PA didn't catch me, so I'm happy about that. he was still 10 minutes back there, so that's good. That's done. No, otherwise I was happy because it was a happy day. The last day was very nice because of this fight, this very close body fight with those boats. So it was super cool to finish with like 4 boats because Damien Doyot, he was very close by, but he had 3 reefs in the main because he destroyed his main. So it wasn't a fair fight. But with the others, it was really like a contact fight. So that was very intense and cool on this. So when you finish, you are in this mindset And then maybe quickly after, when you drop the speed, I was kind of happy because overall it was a very long race, and every day I was thinking, oh, I cannot wait to be there because it's long, and I want to drink a cold beer. Oh my god! So obviously when you finish that, you have a mixed emotions of, it's fine, it's cool to have finished that. I'm gonna drink a beer, see my kid and my girlfriend and whatever. But at the same time, it's the end. It's the end of a whole project. It's the end of sailing on my boat and it's fun to sail. It's very nice to sail, and so it's a very mixed emotion of that. So I was almost sad to finish.
Was it a little more emotional for you than the start? Little more emotions behind it, or?
Obviously, absolutely. Yeah, it's pretty powerful. But especially the mixed emotion of this, the tension of I'm happy but I'm not happy, because it's so cool when it's finishing now. So it's not nice because it was great, and but at the same time it was painful for days. So it's anyway.
I get what you're saying. I mean, I think I actually described it pretty similar. When I got off the pontoon, or when I got on the dock for the first time, I think I said the same thing. Definitely a mix of emotions, and I struggled to explain it. It's hard to explain how you really feel in that moment, even after processing it later. So I totally get what you're saying. So I guess after all of that, would you, to someone that's listening that hasn't done the Mini Transat, would you recommend this experience to them, or what would you say to those listening that haven't done this at all?
Definitely yes. I think a couple of hours after I arrived, I was already thinking about the next Mini Transat project. No, absolutely, man. I would love personally to make another one that is more like performance based, with more preparation. But obviously, man, it's for everyone. I think first it's a great experience overall, because you can learn a lot of stuff. And for those that are not used to be alone, or to travel far, or to make more exotic experiences, it's great because it's really unique in terms of experience you can reach. And I think it's a beautiful way to learn yourself. I mean, to know, to get know yourself better, actually. And I think it's part of the of life, like to be able to get to know yourself and know what you like, what you don't like. Also, it's great.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, so my next question was going to be, what is next for you? Is there another Mini Transat in your future, and would it be in the proto or series, or what are you thinking?
Actually, because I have my kid that is almost 5 years old now. I doubt I can do something in the next year, or maybe the next 2 years, because I've seen it's kind of rough for him when I'm living that long. So that's my first, let's say, stop on the project. But I would love to make a project, either on a good proto, if I would have time to practice. So it's less likely, because if you are sailing on a good proto, you have to sail a bunch, because it's a whole different world, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's probably like 3 times the technical everything, like the trimming, anyway. But otherwise, I would love to make a new project on a TM, like the new series boat that's gonna be. I tried this boat, and I think it's probably I mean, in 4 years, I think it's gonna win, and it's gonna be the best boat for sure in 4 years. I mean, or 2
That's
years,
awesome,
whatever. But because basically, it takes a huge amount of time to prepare such a boat. Like the Maxi took 2 years before they were good. So same for this boat, gonna take 2 more years. Anyway, but so I would definitely love to make a new Mini Transat.
That's great to hear. That's awesome. Hey, well, I think it's time to wrap this up. I really appreciate you answering all these questions. Is there anything else that we should cover, or that we didn't talk about, that you think you want to get out there?
I would like to listen about your sailing back to Florida with your boat, man.
Oh my gosh. That was, so what was that? 1,300 miles from Guadalupe to Stuart, Florida, where my girlfriend Jane and I, we sailed together from Guadalupe to the Bahamas. And then I just did the last 200 plus miles myself, which after the Mini Transat and that, the 200 miles shouldn't be that hard, but that was actually pretty hard going across the Gulf Stream there, waiting for the good weather window and all that kind of stuff. But I got to tell you, so it's interesting. Cruising on the Mini is so different in the sense that you don't have the same support structure of the races and the organization. And it's so different when you don't have the expectation of, a rib to come tow you in and out of the harbor every time for these races and trying to get a motor on the boat. There was a lot that went into that, but that was a whole nother wild experience besides the Mini Transat race itself.
Wow. Did you have any issues, particular problems?
My autopilot broke twice during that.
Oh my God.
So I had an issue with water coming in. The hatch in the back where the life raft goes in and out?
Yeah.
I started getting water in that, and I think part of it's because we had so much crap on the boat weighing it down that the water line was a little bit lower in the boat. And so we had some water coming through. So I just secure that up a little bit and but so we had some water coming in, and then that burned out my autopilot, the hydraulic motor pump that, pumps so that burned it out. So I had to get a new pump replaced, and then it got wet again a second time, a week later. But we were able to fix it the second time just because we also knew what to do, and it was a brand new motor. And I learned way more about the autopilot than I had during the race or leading up to the race itself.
How beautiful. And how was the Gulfstream? Because that's a huge part, a huge chunk.
Yeah. So in cruising mode, I was hitting speeds up to 15 knots going across the Gulfstream that last day, reefing the speed medium and, reefing the main, and I was flying across the Gulfstream. It was pretty awesome. Dodging, little squalls and little bits of rain here and there, but it was pretty cool crossing it.
How was the sea state of the Gulfstream? You had
it was pretty rough. So for the couple of days leading up to that, it was a northerly wind, and I just waited for it to switch to a northeasterly to almost an easterly. It was a little more northeast than I wanted, and so the sea state was pretty rough. But I got through it though. It wasn't the worst thing I've seen out there. The Bay of Biscay was much worse. So it wasn't too bad, but I was the only boat out there. I didn't see any other cruising boats out there at all. So definitely not a great day to cross, but I made it.
Oh my God. Nice job, bro.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Well, hey, I don't want to take up any more time. I really appreciate you coming on here. It's great talking to you, seeing you again on here. And let's definitely stay in touch. All right.
Okay. Lovely. Thanks, Peter, and take care.
Awesome. Thanks, Sylvain. Well, that's it for episode number 13. Thank you, Sylvain, for coming on the podcast. Remember, sign up for the email updates at pgnoceanracing.com. You can still support this campaign. Please donate at uspatriotsailing.org or through my GoFundMe page, which you can all find on my website. So thank you very much to everyone who's donated in the past and those who continue to do so going forward. And then on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to this, hit the follow or subscribe button. And definitely make sure to leave a review as well, too. And if you are not following us on social media, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. That's at PGN Ocean Racing. Finally, let me know what you want to hear about, or if you have any questions, whether the questions are for me or for other skippers that have raced in the Mini Transat, send me an email, peter@pgnoceanracing.com. Thank you for listening to the Mini Transat Mission.